Good morning, my YouTube friends. All right, in this video, we're gonna be doing a little mini series, and in that mini series, we're gonna be like just checking out the heat tolerant crops. So each series we're gonna focus on one specific heat tolerant, perennial plants that you could grow in your food forest. Most likely from zone 9 to 11. You could grow them in other zones, but they may not be perennial. So one of the first one we're going to be looking at in this video, it will be katuk. I think katuk is one of those underrated plants you can grow in a food forest or garden. So we're going to be looking at that, and if you live in that hot climate like Florida, the Caribbean, Southeast Asia, California, Arizona, places like that, anywhere tropical or subtropical, this land is something you seriously need to actually grow. All right, so let's pan around and we're gonna find the katuk in our food forest and show you guys. We're going through and through the process, and one of the best thing about it, guys, is very productive, meaning you're gonna have this perennial leafy green right through the whole year, right through. Once you grow it once, you get a cut, it grow from cuttings. You grow it once, you're gonna always have, so when the traditional leafy greens are actually not being productive, you're gonna probably, always have some leafy greens from these perennial crop to harvest. Remember this again, it's productive, heat tolerant, nutrients dense, easy to grow. I mean, easy to grow. The cutting, from a cutting, very easy to grow. Let me just see if I could find some. Look at these are cuttings I have in a container right here. Very easy to grow. Take a piece, stuck it in the container, walk away, and it's gonna start growing. So these are backup plants I have, and the reason for the backup plants was because we had such a bad winter. I made some cuttings, as backup in the event, but luckily all my katuk came back. Let's show you some more. Let's show some more that we have growing here. We have some growing right here in this area. Beautiful. I think katuk you could consider like a survival crop, because if everything else, there's nothing else, you can always have food here. Always, Kind of and show you some more we have growing on this side. As I tell you, I have it growing through and through my food forest. Let's walk through it. We have some here. We got some growing here in the shade. So it grows in the shade, in full sun, anywhere your garden is going to do extremely well. And if you're going to be wondering what it tastes like, all right, katuk, the leaves have a mild, nutty flavor to it. Almost like a mix between like spinach, peas, and asparagus. Walk over here and show you some more. As I said, we have the katuk growing through and through, and there's other heat tolerant crops that we're going to do in this series, and you'd be surprised what you could actually add to your food forest or garden. So katuk, they also call it the sweet leaf bush. All right, let's go around here, show you another area where I have a lot of young seedlings on the ground, so I'm careful where I step. I plant stuff all through and through the food forest. Let's walk through here. Show you look at this beautiful leaf. So called a sweet leaf bush. It's a perennial leafy greens native to Southeast Asia. So a lot of tropical countries use it like spinach, because as I said, it's easy to grow. You'll always have food. Let's go down here. So I tell you, it's growing right through and through everywhere. And unlike the traditional leafy greens, this will not struggle in the heat. Katuk loves the heat, loves it. The plant actually thrives, on neglect and perfectly. Drought, rain, anything, it's just gonna grow amazingly. Let's walk over here too and show you some other stuff. All right, this time of the year in Central Florida or South Florida, your lettuce and other leafy greens are gonna start bolting. Let me just show you. For example, this is one of my leafy greens. It's a kale, and look what it is. All went to seed. But let's walk over to, so now I have no leafy green because this have went to seed. So let's pan around here. But look at my katuk. Bolting, and you could start harvesting these young shoots, just like asparagus. Add them to any stir fry, these young leaves here, add them to anything, and you're good to go. Show you, look, we have it growing here. All over, let's show you again some more. We have some more growing here in containers. So I tell you, so you just saw, we're growing it in ground, we're growing it in containers. We show you how easy it is to just stuck a piece in containers and it just will grow. Let's keep moving. If you know your regular leafy green is going to bolt, you know, but you have something to turn to, and Katuk is the remedy to that. You know, leafy greens right through the year. The growing zones, I said subtropical, tropical, meaning from 9 to 11, grow perfectly. As I say, look, we have it here. We don't water these stuff. It just grow and you come here and you harvest the young. You see these young, look at this. This is like, and you could just eat this just like this. It tastes just like asparagus. You could do a stir fry, anything, and you have perfect leafy green, high nutrients. Even if you like in maybe zone 8, you know, yeah, you're gonna get cold, but as I said, we just went down to some serious temperatures, low 20s. It died back to the base, but it did come back. So even that's another thing. You know, if you're zone 8, put it in containers. You know, grow it. You know, right through the year. Once it get cold, you actually like move your stuff indoor. Good to go. You know, I have a lot. You know, a lot of people that actually grow Katuk in zone 7, 8. You know, even zone 6, and they grow it in containers. You know, they grow it in containers, and it does perfectly. And the beauty about it too, you could cut it right down to the level you want. It can become extremely tall, you know, but you could cut it down very low, like non-slide. So this is a total cut and come again. Because you could cut it, it's gonna grow back, and you just keep harvesting, and harvesting. There's a different varieties too. There's some with a variegated leaves, that the one I have, and some where the leaf is just totally green. Oh, you know, this solves all the problem about, you know, oh, I can't grow leafy greens in the subtropics. No, you definitely can. This solves all the problem right away. You know, heat tolerant, grows on neglect. Yeah, so nothing get better than this, guys. I mean, a lot of times, and they're like, oh, I can't garden in Florida because there's no, the leafy greens die as soon as it gets hot. And I'm always suggesting there's perennial leafy greens like Katuk, you know, as we're talking about in this video, that will do perfect. I mean, perfect in your environment. So as for planting, again, guys, you could plant it in any container. It does well in rich soil, poor soil. It just grows extremely good. Once that cutting gets established, guys, it's so resilient. You know, there's no way it's gonna die back again. Let's go over here again and look at the cuttings that we have here in containers. Yeah, and this is something that you could do to spread it right through and through. Once it's established, you start making cuttings and you just start spread it around your garden, your food forest, or in more containers. And one thing, you know, also to make note of, with anything, you don't want to overconsume like a lot of it. You just want a few leaves, a few stalks, and you stir fry it. It's not something you're gonna have a big bowl of, like, you know, but it's highly nutritious and you're easy to grow, and it replaces your bolting plants during the warm months, especially for us who live in, you know, the warmer zones. All right, so guys, thank you so much for watching. You know, and this is our first video on heat-loving, heat-tolerant crops, and this is Katuk, and we're gonna be talking about maybe 5-6 more that we could actually, you know, you could actually add to your food forest, your garden, whatever zones you are. You know, it may not be a perennial in some zones because of cold weather, but if we're in the 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, so any subtropical areas, you're gonna be good. All right, so thank you so much for watching. Or be blessed with peace, love, and happiness. One love. Look at the cranes and the baby cranes. Isn't that cool? That's one of the beauty. I just, you know, you have this kind of backyard with your food forest. It's just pure nature around. All right, so thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next video. One love.